guaranteed not to be one of the greatest Formula E races of all time. It's Formula E in Hyderabad. Welcome back to Motorsport 101. Welcome to episode 419 of Motorsport 101. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Dre Harrison, and it's time for Formula E, and it finally made its debut in Hyderabad, and it was certainly a race. It was also sheer, unbridled Formula E level chaos. In fact, it was so chaotic, it actually summoned one of our old co-hosts back on the show, because with me, and I can't believe he's with me, because last minute call, Ryan Eric King is here, everybody.
Whoa, I'm not here for the race.
What are you here for?
Have you seen the news?
And what news is this, King?
Let's just say someone got a little frustrated with their Neo and decided to head out on the open road in their Ferrari.
We did hear this news this morning that a certain I love that the generic headline was racing driver caught speeding, which is just a tale as old as time. And it was Dan Ticktum that got caught speeding on a British motorway around Staffordshire at 114 miles an hour, which, woof, that's I actually tried defending him in our Discord server a little bit because, like, my dad's driven down the M1 at those speeds. Like, Dad, if you're listening, like, don't even try and deny this because this is absolutely what you did.
Oh my God!
We're being recorded right now, and you're confessing that your dad committed an offense that is arrestable.
Your point?
Damn. Well, it's been a hot minute since Dan Ticktum's gone fast enough for people to notice.
To be fair, like, where does this rank on the, like, Dan Ticktum power ranking scale of stories involving his Ferrari? Because anybody remembers when he made his Formula E debut last year, and when he got to Monaco, and the fact his Ferrari got clamped and towed.
Well, all I'm going to say is the specifics about the story is that, yes, he was going fast enough that he would have been arrested. The thing was that it wasn't a police officer who spotted him. He spotted on CCTV, meaning that there's plausible deniability that he wasn't the driver. He's getting fined because the Ferrari is his. It's registered to him, and he refuses to identify who was driving the Ferrari.
Oh.
So he's just getting fined for not identifying the driver.
I had no idea it was driving. I think it was some guy named Dan Ticktum.
How about the Will Buxton nickname of Dick Tantrum? He blocked me on Twitter for calling him out for that years ago. It's hilarious. But I love that. It was like, no, Constable. I promise you it wasn't me. They just sped the footage up.
Yeah, because he would have, like, if he did admit that it was him, it would have been way worse. Like, we're talking about back, in his, F4 days, where he got a year ban for driving into the side of Ricky Collard under safety car.
It's wild to me. This is just like, yeah, Dan Ticktum did a punishable offense. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like, maybe like third on the list of crazy shit we've talked about him for on the server.
Right. There's a list. It's like an episode of SpongeBob, but then the scroll just comes down, and it's just like the list of Dan Ticktum's questionable bullshit, and it just goes on forever. It's amazing. So yeah, that was such a huge story. King insisted he had to come on the show and talk about it. So we're very lucky to have King here with us again, and joining us as well, as you probably already guessed by now, is Cam Buckley. How's it going, Cam?
I've been better. It's been a rough month so far.
Do you dare explain why? This intro's already out of pocket as it is.
All you need to know is that I'm in pain.
Mm-hmm.
I hurt my groin really badly moving something. So yeah. Yeah, I'll spare everyone the details beyond that point. It's actually a yearly occurrence where I hurt myself badly in February, because last year I blew my knee out this month.
We're buying you a bunch of cling film, Cam, and we're just looking.
I'm walking around. I used to tell one of my coworkers that it's like, I'm just gonna wrap you in bubble wrap so you can't hurt yourself anymore.
Yeah, just wrap him in bubble wrap. Just lay him on his bedroom floor, and just like hope his Porsche diecast doesn't fall in his head or something, and just keep him there until March 1st. Okay, there's still time.
How would I play Metroid Prime doing that?
You could play it in your mind. It's
not good enough.
It's like Cam Buckley will injure himself for a Metroid Prime reboot.
Yes, I will, and I will not deny it.
Could you imagine like Cam Buckley's Tinder profile of Cam Buckley will tear nut for Metroid Prime reboots? I'm going to leave that there before Cam gets his shotgun and tries to find my house.
I was saying, I'm about to down some painkillers and take a flight over.
You know what? If he rolls up my door, I'm like, you know what, Cam? I can't even blame me for this one. And then gets shot in the chest, which is like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, as you probably would have guessed by now, we're going to talk a little bit about Formula E in Hyderabad, but like we've had to talk a little bit about it. A couple of interesting FIA stories at the top of the show. We did it last week as well, a couple of weeks ago with our last FE episode talking about Mohammed Ben Sulayem's what shall we say busy month of January. My man was in some hot water.
No
multiple You know it's
bad.
You know it's bad when King, who knows the FIA at the back of his hand, is like, you know what? No, I'm a pass on this one.
Oh, we got to put on the gloves. We got to put on the hazmat suits and delve back in.
Yeah, we're doing that again because there was a lot of fury about because the FIA dropped this afternoon as we were recording this on February 17th that they've got further clarification on the quote, and I use this loosely in inverted commas, changes to the free speech rules that the FIA has put out there, and everybody's got a bit of a hubbub about it, King, and like. Really? Like, you know the FIA better than anyone I know. Take these bag of snakes and lay them out as straight as you can. Can you do that for me, King? As a favor.
Oh, man, I'm going to get bit.
I've got the anti-venom, don't worry.
No black mambas here.
No, you're good. I promise. I'll never do it to you.
Basically, the long and short of it, drivers in any international competition, doesn't it have to be F1? It could be the World Endurance Championship. It could be the Formula E World Championship. Going forward this year, cannot make any political statements before, during, or after races under most conditions. So pretty much if you are on a broadcast camera, you can't make any political statements. There are a couple caveats saying that drivers can still make political statements on social media during events. And, if an accredited member of the press asks them a direct question that would involve a political statement being the answer, then it's fine.
I love the fact that friend and colleague Scott Mitchell Mom over from our delightful friends at the race literally hit up Twitter saying, wait, so I could still ask him a political question directly? And then he posted a gif of He-Man saying, I have the power, which I thought was hilarious, I have to say. Now, what gets me about this, King, is that I always thought this rule was always in place. Like, I don't like. Is this not a huge change from what the system was beforehand? And this is more a case of clarification than anything else.
Yes, that is exactly it. And the FIA even mentioned it. It's been a part of the International Sporting Code in some way, shape, or form since at least 1970.
So what the hell are we all losing our minds over here? Look, okay, I get the easy answer here is social media. And I know the long answer is probably a little bit more complicated than that, and it's probably regarding the timing of the clarification because it happened in January, quiet month, off season, off the back of Sebastian Vettel's retirement, because I saw his name chucked around a lot, obviously, because towards the end of his career, he made a lot of what could be deemed as political statements regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, regarding the LGBT plus community, regarding the environment and climate change. So I think people are like, oh, well, the FIA's jumping on the wagon now, Seb's gone. And I'm like, guys, this rule's always been in place. And I just didn't want to say it on social media and basically start World War III by saying, oh, no, guys, it's kind of always been like this. But I think and I think Cam will allude to this as well, because I said this during the last time when we talked about Mohammed Ben Sulayem as well. It's very easy to make the FIA the bad guys here, isn't it? It's just so easy.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, someone has to be the cop in this situation, and in this case, this rule has been around. It's just as drivers have been using their platform more and more, the FIA's kind of had to reiterate a rule that they already have in place.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people have a short memory thanks to the big thing that shut the entire world down. And people forget, before the pandemic, the last time this rule had to be used was when a certain American driver in Formula 2 tried to run a special one-off livery for the 4th of July in support of his favorite presidential candidate who wanted to make America great again. And the FIA said, no, you cannot do that.
The Donald. The man who will forever be known now as Santucci on this podcast.
Santucci.
Yes.
Did it also not pop up? Was it the 2019? Which was the U.S. Grand Prix that Lewis had worn the shirt after the race and had been pulled aside by the FIA?
It was one of those US races where he was told you can't wear it. Can't remember which one. I think Logan Sargent's dad tried it as well at one point when he was in Formula 3, I want to say.
Yes. And I think I bring up those ones because obviously they're the most recent ones before, the pandemic. But it also brings up the idea that it is a double-edged sword once you start allowing political speech at, say, international motorsports events. It's not just the political speech you agree with that gets banned. It's also the ones that would actively harm you would also get banned as well.
Yes, it was the 2020 Tuscan Grand Prix. I got that wrong with
Breonna Taylor.
With the Breonna Taylor shirt.
Yes.
Because I couldn't remember if it had happened before COVID as well.
During, in this case.
No.
During, yes.
But I mean, this is what I was going to get at, and was again, full disclosure. Of course, I work for a company that's now technically under the race. We have friends. We talk. Just because anyone goes after my neck, I need to clarify that. We talk, and I literally said, well, you've got... I can't believe I said this and in this chat, and I'm going to say it here as well, and I might get shot for saying this, but I'm going to say it. I actually feel a little bit sorry for the FIA. Now, before you send a dirty protest to my house, hear me out here, they as a governing body has to take a neutral stance. Whether you like it or not, they have to be as neutral as they can be. One, because there's an IOC charter around that they have to kind of lean into a little bit here. Two, like you said, there are many countries that we race in Formula One that have opposing views.
You could see that's not what we're going to call them.
I'm being gentle here. But
I would just say there are many countries we race in that have views that don't align with the principles that are commonly held within our Western democracies, that, we've done things to try to install that way of thinking in that part of the world. And let's just say we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. And The example that I used in that same group chat was, well, if Nikita Mazepin never got an F1 seat again, for example, and he wanted to race with a swastika on his helmet, would we be saying, this is not a political statement? Would we be saying, well, he's got a race with it on, it's freedom of speech, right? I guarantee you we wouldn't be giving him the same level of benefit of the doubt. And
no.
And yeah, like that's why sports governing bodies, generally speaking, have to take a neutral stance, because it works both ways. Now, not that I'm saying that anybody would reasonably ever actually put a swastika on a racing helmet. Of course not. And of course, we strongly condone that. But at the same time, you gotta play the game here and be in the middle somewhere. Otherwise, it leads to problems like
FIA as
that.
The organizer, they ultimately become responsible when individuals from those countries who are not appreciative of those views make that dissatisfaction known.
Yeah, it's pretty much that the FIA does have to have a stance that, the political views held by our drivers are not our views,
right?
But also from the stance of people who want to use FIA events as their platform. Yes, it's not allowed, and it's never been allowed. But if you want to protest, there's gonna be consequences. It's just a fact of protesting. It's why it's a protest in the first place.
Yeah, someone's gonna be upset no matter what the protest is. That's
the whole point of a protest.
That's the whole point of it at the end of the day. And look, we'll keep it between us as a little secret, gents. The FIA probably isn't going to enforce this all that hard.
Yeah, because, the entirety of the F1 drivers have basically said they're going to ignore this.
Yeah, and even if they didn't ignore it and they kept doing what they were doing, it's a PR disaster for anyone who tries to interject this.
And I'd also say that I have a feeling the teams encouraged. Well, not encouraged, but said, if you don't like it, say something about it, because we don't currently like the FIA right now either. So it kind of helps us if you're mad about it.
Yeah, let's put it to you this way. How many situations have you seen politically in the world of Formula One where Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are on the same page?
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Ever.
Meanwhile, the team bosses have largely held a view similar to the FIA over the past couple of years. Let's be honest. So if there's someone stopping their drivers from having using F1 as a platform for their political opinions, it's not the FIA, it's their employers.
Right, because they don't want that smoke either. So if the drivers,
ultimately you become a representative of your company in that situation.
Yeah. And, certain teams do draw the line on this. Like, anyone forgotten Sebastian Vettel's Canada helmet from last year? Mysteriously went missing on Saturday. That was never seen again.
Oh, man. What was the protest against? Who is he sponsored by?
World's biggest polluters. Just throwing that one out there. I can't mention them by name because unfortunately other
they
job.
Sponsor you too.
If we speak, we are in trouble.
No. If Dre speaks, he's in trouble. We can mention Aramco all we want, but moving on.
Hey. You're a bastard, kid. You know that, right? He's absolutely
what now has
right.
to happen. What now has to happen is that we now need to bleep out that word.
Yeah, no. Shell are wonderful people. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it seemed like any time free speech is going to get mentioned, and every time the drivers are going to mention free speech, people are going to get into a big hubbub about it because we now expect more from our athletes to be role models and to, back, shall we say, left-leaning activist causes like climate change and obviously racial matters, diversity, etc. And yeah, again, it's very easy to paint the FIA to be the bad guys in this scenario. Again, I think this is more a matter of choosing who your cops are and which one you want to back. Which is exactly what we said last time around when we talked about Mohammed Ben Sulayem and his battle between F1 and the FIA. And I think it's a similar case here. I actually think the FIA is kind of caught in the middle here because, let's say, for example, we race again in Qatar and Lewis Hamilton has a rainbow-coloured helmet. It's not going to be the FIA, and it's probably not going to be Formula One that's going to have a huge problem with this. The local promoters, on the other hand, they might do. And
I like we saw it with the World Cup, where people forget international sport is 2 words. International is the first one. It's a community of nations, and some parties who choose to host international events forget that. And when they are the host, you do somewhat have to play by their rules, but they don't run the show. And I'm pretty sure if Lewis Hamilton did it again, probably get a fine from the FIA, would be mad about it online, but he still got the protest regardless.
Yeah. And I think
which I hope he does.
Yeah, and I think Hamilton would happily pay that fine tomorrow, given he's already donated 20+ million of his own back pocket towards activist clauses and whatnot. So I think a small financial fine to make it look like the FIA is enforcing its rule, but to keep the locals happy, is probably actually a fair compromise for all parties. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And the world keeps turning. But hey, welcome to another edition of FIA Politics on Motorsport 101. Should we talk about Formula E for a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, but before we do that, especially this, you can find us real quick. We're on youtube.com/motorsport101. We're on facebook.com/motorsport101. Or on Twitter at motorsport_101. If you'd like to follow our personal handles, you can at Ryan Eric King, at cpuckley917, and at Dre_WTF1. First time I had to read that combination out. That's a weird one. You can back us financially on Patreon if you like us, patreon.com/motorsport101 as well. And all of those details and extra stuff on our website, motorsport101.com. Check that out if you haven't already. Right, let's talk about some electric cars in Hyderabad, because this was fun.
Could you detect the pain in the Jaguar fan's voice there?
I have no idea what you're talking about here. Look.
Now say that without crying.
In Formula E, only 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and chaos. And amazingly, one of the craziest races since that damp day in Valencia, John-Eric Vergne held on from a rampant Nick Cassidy at the end of the race, despite the Kiwi having a 3.5% battery capacity advantage over the line. Yeah, Vergne won. Somehow. I don't know. I still don't quite know how he pulled that off, but he did. With Cassidy second, and then hang on. Sorry, we've had to remove Sebastian Buemi from the podium. He originally crossed the line in 3rd place, but had to be removed because the old crossing the finish line at 00 trick that didn't work out for him. Overdone on power, was given a drive-through penalty. It was converted into time, and that was deemed to be 17 seconds. It dropped him all the way to 15th, and that bumped up Cam, it's your bands. Antonio Felix da Costa up to 3rd in the end.
The shambling corpse of Antonio Felix da Costa has finally snagged a podium for Porsche.
Yeah, and championship leader Pascal Wehrlein right behind him in 4th after qualifying. What was it, 15th or something, Cam?
Say that again.
15th.
No, before that.
Championship leader Pascal Wehrlein.
We should also mention Pascal Wehrlein, championship leader, was in the hospital the night before.
Yeah.
And put the car forward.
That's a big off. Rode off the tub. Came back the next day.
Yeah,
Good result.
Yeah, I want to say it wasn't. It might have been a glitch in the ECU that did it. Basically,
yeah.
It was something. It was mechanical based. It wasn't skill issue. It was his car broke, and next thing you know, he clattered into that turn 1 wall. It was a horrible wreck. Had to fix the tub through the night, and yeah, they gave Pascal the once over in the local hospital. But yeah, as King quite rightly said, came back from a hospital trip same day, finished 4th, extends championship lead. More as to how that happened in a moment, but.
He just keeps passing these effing cars.
He's doing the one thing that Cam's been asking him to do all these years, and it's finally happening for him. Two ridiculous comebacks already this season for Pascal.
Better late than never.
No kidding. So after all of that, and after all the shit we've given DS powertrains on this show so far this year, a DS powertrain goes and friggin' wins. Of course.
Speaking of shambling corpses,
Jeff's first win in over 2 years, which is crazy when you think about it. He's probably Formula E's greatest driver ever. I know it's a short-lived series, and relatively speaking, but Jeff wins. How is there hope for DS powertrains here, gentlemen? Like, have we got something here?
Looking at the championship standings, those hopes are real dim.
they were better this weekend, though, at least on pace. I mean, kind of going through all the DSs. Vergne was good all weekend.
Yeah.
Everything else, maybe not so much.
It's weird because if you look at the rest of the plethora of DS powered cars here, Gunther was running decently well, but then got caught up in an incident we'll talk about in a moment. Edo Mortara smashed 2 front wings in the space of 2 days, because he did it in practice as well, but he did it again in the race. Crunched the front wing.
Is that his 4th major crash this year?
I think it is. If I'm keeping count, because he had one he had one in Diriyah as well, didn't he? In qualifying.
And he's been tearing up all their spare parts.
he's put in the MSG Sports Group's repair bills through the roof so far, which is not what you expect from Edo Mortara, who's one of the best drivers in the series. But he crunched the front wing early doors in the race. ... Spoiler alert, he still finished 10th. Somehow we still got a point over it, but it was just 1 point. And Stoffel, the reigning series champion, 8th, and not really featured prominently in that race at all. It was just in the midfield. Got some good points in the end. He was there. He existed. His attendance was confirmed. So I'm a bit cautious before we start waxing too much lyrical about DS here. But
because again, the signature perhaps of this race, I mean, Jake Dennis was having a great race up until he was mounted by one René Rast. It's again, Porsche's race pace is just devastating.
Yeah.
And even though they don't qualify well, I mean, especially Vergne and Da Costa did not have a good day in qualifying. Through other people's misfortune and just good energy management, they just tore their way back up through the field.
Sometimes it really is that simple. I mean, King, are you still holding out hope for Stoffel season? I know it's one of your favorite pastimes.
Oh man, we're a quarter of the way in through the year. Stoffel's last weekend was the highest he's finished all year. Like, this is not looking good.
If your highest finish of the year is 8th,
through 4
and
rounds,
you are the reigning world champion, there is probably not a lot of hope for you.
Yeah, especially when your teammates just won as well, even, which is not ideal. Which goes to show you that there clearly is something in this car, because you don't fluke a win in Formula E that often. ... We've had stranger times in this series, believe it or not. But even so, for Jev to end up winning that race, and like I said, he held off Nick Cassidy behind him, and Cassidy had, I want to say, 6% going into that final lap. If anything, Envision wasn't aggressive enough earlier.
He was 3% up
at least 3%
end of the final lap. Over 3% up. Just couldn't find a way past. Vergne put on really a defensive clinic on the last lap. Parked the entire bus, the bus fleet at the hairpin, and you just couldn't do anything about him.
Yeah, look, to be fair, I do think a little part of this is the fact that it was really hard to pass in Hyderabad in general. There was one passing zone, and that was the attack mode hairpin. And that I didn't see another pass anywhere else on track for the entire rest of the race. So that probably
is it me? Am I imagining things, or is that a little bit of a feature this year that it's been a little harder to pass with these cars than the previous cars?
I said it last year when they unveiled when they announced the specs for the Gen 3 cars. And these cars are faster. They're going to outgrow the circuits they go to. And surprise, surprise, it happened.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think there's something to that, Cam, and yeah, King did call it last year, and he was still a regular on here. But yeah, that these, I mean, they were flirting with like 200-mile-an-hour top speed projected, 450 brake horsepower by old combustion engine numbers, and they're racing on tiny street circuits, relatively speaking.
They're only like
Kings
a handful.
couldn't have put it better. I don't think King could have put it better. The cars have kind of hit the point where they are outgrowing the circuits they're running on.
But that's the thing. What makes it doubly frustrating is that Hyderabad was a brand new track. They could have seen this coming. They knew what the spec of these cars were going to be going out quite a long way. So when you're organizing the structure of a track, why have we still got one that's so friggin' tiny?
Well, yes, but you're limited to the area that the city gives you to conduct the race in and the roads that are already there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they knew that when they signed the contract to race here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... It feels like these cars are now at the point where they could graduate to proper circuits, but that doesn't really fit into FE's self-crafted image.
But I'd say there's some circuits on the calendar that can currently accommodate these cars fine. So later in the year when they go to Berlin or Monaco, the racing will be fairly similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Monaco, but even then, we've graduated from the Monaco FE track to the full circuit with fantastic results, I might add. So I think we're kind of at that point where some of the tracks do work and we still do get good racing, I'd say more often than not in FE, but there's other tracks where you really are going to have to look at, are these cars now too fast for these tracks?
I was thinking that to myself in theory, but I wanted to see more evidence before really following through with my opinion on that. But I think King's right. I think we are starting to see us get to that breaking point. Because like I said, Hyderabad was a one overtake track. 100%. So people are saying, that's Jev's greatest Formula E drive. This was one of the best Formula E races ever. And I'm like, whoa, calm down.
He was in a move. All the greatness of the race was not from passing in action. It was action and chaos.
Yeah, it was absolutely wacky. It's and I don't think this series did itself many favors here with the track layout and whatnot, but hey, it made Jev look like a superhero, so why not, right?
Know who didn't look like a superhero?
Oh no.
Sam Bird.
Well, just like the football club he supports, Manchester United, he has to find a new way to kick their fans in the dick. And
please, real life Bond villain, come save us.
Oh dear! I mean, I could put this off no longer. We got to talk about just how chaotic this race was, and there was multiple incidents that were just, what the hell is going on here? And the main one was Sam Bird completely missing his braking point, locking up into that same attack mode hairpin chicane we mentioned earlier, plow straight into the rear of Mitch Evans' car, and in the process collects and traps, briefly, Sasha Fenestraz and Max Gunther's cars, who are both trying to take their attack mode on the outside line. I'm like, oh, look, there's a Jaguar here. Oh, wait, there's two. Hang on. That's a wall.
Shout out to Mitch Evans' radio message. He was already incensed previously by losing positions under his by taking attack mode first. He said, "Yep, fucking mega."
Yeah, I don't normally plug other people's content on this show, but I have to mention, if you have not seen the radio message video from Hyderabad on Formula E's YouTube channel, it is well worth 5 minutes of your time, because Evans was already livid, given that he had lost the lead. He did start this race from pole, got the whole shot. Yeah, got the whole shot. Was leading early on, but then Jag told him to take his attack mode early. It was first attack mode early, and then lost track position to Jev, Buemi, and Cassidy. So he was already down 3 spots, was looking like he was going to win, but to being off the podium. And then the same lap, he's literally claiming his engineer's lying to him about how much regen his rivals are doing. And then seconds later, he gets turned around by his own teammate. And as Cav says, he just says on the radio, fucking mega. It's like, you can tell that's a New Zealander in him. Just
the angriest Kiwi alive.
The New Zealanders, who are known for being the most chill, nice people in the world, fucking mega, basically. And yeah, absolutely. Bird has taken him out. He's ruined. Fenestraz had absolutely exploded as well. And like Gunther, who's the most mild-mannered man here, was like, well, that's incredible, mate.
Well, he's stuck. He's stuck in the middle of all these cars.
It's amazing. He's like the most mild-mannered man in the world, clearly. Bird, I believe, has been given, I think it's a 5-place grid drop for the next round in Cape Town as a result of that incident. And,
well earned.
Well earned. Like, me, the Mitch Evans fan, was like, can we kick him out of the series for that?
Oh, man. You're about to sound like a movie right now.
I want him off the set. You're a nice guy.
Dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground.
You're a nice guy, but you can't be doing this. I want you off the set, etc. Yeah, I was so mad at that when that happened. You have no idea. And I really like Sam Bird. Everybody likes Sam Bird. He's one of the nicest dudes in motorsport.
I think that makes it worse.
I know,
because that's not the kind of mistake you expect out of. He just completely missed the braking zone, locked the front tires, and that was that.
He is the most apologetic man in the world on the radio afterwards. It was just, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. It's like that South Park sketch where the guy just keeps finding more creative ways of saying I'm sorry. It was just, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. And look, Sam is a genuine dude. You could tell he was clearly just really upset, and he apparently went to all 3 dudes' garages personally afterwards and apologized to all 3 of them.
I'm surprised he survived that endeavor.
I'm surprised like Mitch didn't give him like a chair shot to the head afterwards, like something out of the WWE. So apparently, if Sam Bird is still alive, he will be racing in Cape Town next weekend, but maybe with a shorter life expectancy. The one that gets me is that James Barkley was about to put his fist through the table as team principal.
He almost did the patented Toto Wolff desk slam and then realized he didn't want to hurt his wrist.
The best part of it, they just cut to him with his arms above his head, looking at the ceiling like, oh my God. And it's not like Bird has been amazing since joining Jaguar in Formula E either. Like, he has struggled. Last year was his first winless season in Formula E, having joined that team. He
started off this year really well, and then it all went down the drain in one moment.
Wasn't particularly great in Diriyah either. I mean, he got 1 podium finish, but the other race he could have easily won, but then choked it. Yeah, just not a good time for Sam Bird right now. We mentioned that Mortara wrecking his own front wing. King, you know your motorsport, right? You've been around this for a long time. Have you ever heard of a stranger incident and what happened with Jake Hughes?
The closest I could think of was, that spat of fire extinguishers going off in F2 we get, every other season.
Mechachrome, shaking fist at the clouds. For those who didn't hear this incident or didn't hear the radio regarding this, because like Jake Hughes all of a sudden randomly out of nowhere is in the wall, car is wrecked, safety car deployed. Why? His mirror fell off the car and then it fell off into his cockpit and then jammed his steering wheel.
That's up there. That is up there on weird incidents taking drivers out.
That is not a motor race. That is a plot in a Final Destination movie. Like, what the hell? That is remarkably bad luck. I have never heard anything like that before in motorsport. And yeah, Hughes was running in the top 6, and next thing you know, crunch. Yeah, just the mother of all coincidences. That's what pulled out the late safety car and gave us an extra lap at the end of the race as well, because of the extra time rule is now in laps rather than on the clock, obviously. And that's what bunched the fuel up right at the end of the race. So, bad luck, Jake. That's a rough one. And it was a bad weekend for Jakes in general. Cam, what happened to Rene Rast?
Well, he was down bad and felt like mounting something. Unfortunately, he mounted Jake Dennis's rear wing.
Again, radio message on the radio. Well, that's fucked, says Jake Dennis, which was metaphorically and literally correct, because he mounted, like, in a very small amount of Rast's defense, he was trying to get out of the way of Oliver Rowland dive bombing him from a mile back.
If he didn't hit Dennis, if he didn't try to jump out of the way, Rowland was going to hit him.
Yeah, it was dive or be dived on. It was Rast was put in kind of an impossible situation, to be fair. It was, well, either you lock up here and take evading action, or Rowland's going to get you. And we all know Ollie Rowland loves a dive bomb. Oh, geez. So he ends up ruining the back of Dennis's car. Dennis ends up having to retire it because of the rear wing damage, and we have a crack in the Vergne Dennis, we're taking every top 2 spot alliance in this case, because that's opened the door for Vergne to come up and now has an 18-point lead in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically gotten to the point where the only person in range of Porsche factory driver Pascal Wehrlein is Porsche customer driver Jake Dennis.
Yeah, and as a point of reference, Jake Dennis currently sits in second with 62 points. Jean-Eric Vergne and Sebastian Buemi both have 31 points. They're third and fourth.
Yeah. And Pascal Wehrlein has 80. So Jev and Buemi are basically already 2 races back, and we've only had 4.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just it. The punishing consistency that Porsche's been able to display, where Pascal's worst finish this year is 4th, and he's finished every race.
Yeah. 2 wins, a 2nd, and a 4th. And Dennis is the only man in the same postcode. Everybody else has had, like, 1 really good result and scraps everywhere else.
Yeah.
Jev won, but he's done F all this season. Hughes and Rast have had like 1 podium each and not much else otherwise. Buemi was probably going to be in a solid 3rd if it wasn't for the drive-through he had at the end of the race, because he has been like 6th, 8th, 6th, basically. He's been decently consistent so far this year in the Envision. But yeah, hit the line with no battery. Whoops. Yeah, wow. It's already looking like it's going to be a 2-horse race for the title. How very un-Formula E. Like, isn't it normally the other way around, where everybody's a contender to like the last 3 races? It's hilarious.
No more lottery qualifying.
That's what it does for you, I suppose. Also, a couple of other funky ones out here. Sergio Sette Camara finished 5th for Neo. Huh?
I just got a nosebleed.
So did he. Neo, who's been nowhere all year long in a race where they didn't have to battery save as much. Sergio Sette Camara was 5th, which I think is their best finish as a team. I want to say since 2017. It's been a while since a Neo's been this fast. I think Nelson Piquet Jr. was driving for them back then.
Remember Nelson Piquet Jr.?
I do.
Crashgate legend.
He was on the broadcast team this week.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, because Vernon Kay wasn't there, so Nicky Shields was in charge of the production, and Nelson Piquet was our right hand man. I was like, wow, this is a throwback. Not no good way either.
God, yeah. I mean, and that's like just consistency in FE will get you most of the way there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And if you're winning and racking up podiums, that's even better.
And
so that's with Neo's had speed.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that their regen is just god-awful.
It's dreadful, and that's what's doing them in.
If they can convert any of that qualifying pace into race pace, they'll get some good results.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this was the exact sort of race that would play to their strengths, i.e. you don't have to save as much. They only added one lap extra on at the end, and generally speaking, it wasn't a super hard race on the battery. So, yeah, Neo came through. Also, then again, I might just throw that entire evidence out of the window when I saw that Mortara finished 10th with no front wing, and and Nico Muller in the Cupras, who have been dreadful all year long, was 11th. They were this close to a point. This close. Oh, what a wacky Formula E race this was. And like I said, like, Jack called it like one of the best Formula E races we've ever had, and I'm just like, no. This was just a classic.
Respectfully, you're out of your mind.
No, this was just a classic case of Formula E leaning into the chaos. This is what this series does better than any series in motorsport, and that's part of the charm, I think, more than anything else. Just
charm, he calls it.
Charm is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, I admit. Just before we get out of here as well, we've been keeping tabs on Robin Frijn's health over the course of this season so far after that horrible broken wrist he suffered over in Mexico City. He got confirmation he won't be racing in Cape Town next weekend, understandably, given the injury. But he might be back for Sao Paulo, because I think we're taking a month off in Formula E after this next race in Cape Town. So yeah, so there's a good chance he'll be back in Sao Paulo. So apparently the injury's healed up faster than people thought it was going to, which is nice. So get well soon, Robin. Hopefully he'll be back in Brazil. Kelvin van der Linde will fill in again for the Cupra guys in Cape Town next weekend. Good luck to him. He's actually done pretty well for himself so far in that Cupra seat. Because hey, Kelvin van der Linde's a good driver. Who knew? Yeah, a lot of us did. But yeah, as mentioned, Formula E back next weekend in Cape Town. Looking forward to seeing that one. The vibes will be immaculate, I'm sure. No doubt on that one. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the Motorsport 101 podcast. Shout out to King for joining in last minute. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Check him out on Jalopnik if you haven't already. I'm sure you have if you're listening to us. And of course, we'll be back next time to chat a little bit about what happens after Cape Town. But basically, you can find us one more time, youtube.com/motorsport101, Facebook, same /, Twitter @motorsport_101, personal handles one more time, @Dre_WTF1, @Ryan Eric King, and @CBuckley917. Instagram, motorsport101pod, website, motorsport101.com for all of our details and all that good stuff, and some extra written stuff as well, all over on there. We'll see you after Cape Town, because until next time, I've been Dre Harrison, they've been Ryan Eric King and Cam Buckley. Sayonara.
Bye.
Anyone got a Senzu bean? I need a Senzu bean.
I think Connor Daly took them all.
He was packing them into his rear suspension to make the car stop bouncing.